Hi everyone, this is Sahil and I'm back with another movie review. Well, I've recently seen Indian John Wick. Is it really Indian John Wick? I know what you're guessing. It is the Monkey Man that I've seen, but the big question is, has Dev Patel kicked out in his directorial debut?
Two, three.
Why so fast? Let's find out today. Well, talking about the cast, Dev Patel is the directorial debut, wonderful actor. We have seen him in movies like The Wonderful Story of Henry Sugar, the very famous Slumdog Millionaire, as well as Lion. He's done really well as an actor. But the question is, has he really kicked it out of the park with his directorial debut? Is the director side shining as his actor side does? The producer of this movie is Jordan Peele. And the story behind this movie was going to be launched on Netflix. However, Jordan Peele, when saw the movie, said this movie deserved a theatrical release. And that's where their production company, Monkey Paw, came in and produced The Monkey Man. Talking about the cast is extremely solid. It's an Indian cast. Not a lot of people globally will not know more them, but trust me, they are really, really strong actors. With having Vipin Sharma, Sikandar Khair, Sobita, Ashwini, Makrand, these guys are phenomenal. They are gems of India. They're very, very strong actors. But my favorite character from the entire movie, apart from obviously Dev Patel, was Pitu Bash. I don't know if I'm saying the name right. He was really, really fun. You'll definitely love him during the movie. And I actually thought that the runtime has less of him. I really wanted more of him. The chemistry should be more. But let's dive into the story first and then we'll get into this character back again. Well, the story is set out to be a simple revenge movie. However, there is a lot of spiritualism. There is a lot of emotional aspect to it. The life journey of a person rising from slums, again, an underdog, coming up the ladder and fighting great power. So this is basically the story. I know this is a cliched story, not something different, but the way this has been brought up to us is a true marvel because it depicts Indian folktale and it's beautifully presented up on the screen. Really love the way that they have brought out the rich colors, the beautiful history. And as we know, Dev Patel was basically grown up listening to these stories and he was really motivated to bring this up. And we can actually see that the relevance and the comparisons is beautiful. But before we move on to the goods of the movie, I just want to get out some cons that I particularly really, it was a bummer for me. The first is the shaky cam. The camera was so shaking, it was just like this. It was like someone is holding my head and they were like just doing this throughout the movie. I was actually getting nauseatic. The other was you had that feel of claustrophobia there because the camera was so closed up throughout the movie. They are really, I will say, I think 20% are only broad shots, 80% they're all close-ups. And it was getting claustrophobic and I never thought that, I'll actually get out of air if I see that sort of tight frames. I think these were two bummers. We've actually the cinema has come past of this trick of shaky cam. To be honest, it does work in the action sequences in some occasions. I personally think they overdid it. If they would have played it safe, the last 30 minutes, it looked like someone else shot it completely because those shaky cam shots, those close-ups were actually gone. You could actually have seen broader scale of vision and they were beautiful. Now let's come to the good, the meaty. Number one, Dev Patel. I think he has actually shown his acting prowess. He was phenomenal. The story of Dev Patel and this character actually resonates with each other. Both are underdogs. And the way he's presented, the way he's acted, the way he looked on the screen, the way he's buffed up for this role, I think he's done really good. The emotional side, I personally felt his emotional side was as strong as his action sequences, which is something really good too. And it was a sight to watch. I was not expecting this from Dev Patel. But is it the Indian John Wick? Completely no. These are two parallel apart. The stylized versions of how they're shot, the action sequences are very different. Yes, there's some sort of similarity, but they are very different. It's not like a John Wick. I know if you wear a suit, and there's revenge going on, the first thing is this guy is John Wick. This is a John Wick story. But that is not true. The way that he's brought, like I mentioned, the Indian folk culture, I think that differentiates it from a normal John Wick movie. But the action sequences were flawless if the shaky cam, like I mentioned, and the close shot ups were not taken as much. I want to also include some important things that we should consider. The way this movie has been made, sweat, blood, literal. I've jotted down some points that you should definitely know. Dev Patel, the list of injuries first. Broke his hand, the two toes, his shoulder, had an eye infection, and to top it up, he turned out many acting opportunities for this particular movie. This movie was shot during COVID times where boundaries were closed. He wanted to shoot in India, but he could not. He had different set of action team, and he had to finally land up with an Indonesian team. I personally think it was actually a blessing in disguise because the action is flawless. I think the action sequences were different. They were fresh. It looked like coming from a new drawing board. And I think that is really beautiful to see. When new directors come, they bring their own flavor. I think that Indian punch really kicked it out. Another thing that was really important was during this movie, as a person, by the way, I saw this movie twice. And I took time to get this review in because the first time I saw, I didn't know that this movie was shot on GoPros and iPhone. But then when I went back in, because I was subconsciously knowing, I could actually identify which ones are GoPro, which are iPhones. But to a layman person, if you don't know this thing, you will not actually figure out, oh, this was an actual camera, professional camera. This was an iPhone doing all the work. Coming to some of the important things that I want to also discuss and highlight. Dev Patel, during this entire movie, if you see, has brought up some A-card moments in this movie. There were three particular moments that were really beautifully done. The first is the introduction of the tabla maestro of India. His name is Zakir Hussain. He's phenomenal. All the growing Indian kids would know him from a Taj chai ad. It's a tea ad where he, with a popular actor, Saif Ali Khan, did his tabla. He was phenomenal. The way they synced the tabla with his punches, the tune of one with the right hand, the tune of one with the left, and they were syncing it. It was a treat. The people clapped. Both the times I was in cinema, I actually see people clapping and cheering for Dev Patel. I think that was a great scene. The other scene that I really loved was the final fight. They were wearing traditional ghagras of India. That's a traditional dress. And the way they were fighting and combating with their hands, and they were showing those swirls with the ghagra, it looked so colorful and beautiful. He's actually brought so much of color into it that it looked beautiful. It was a treat to see. But like I said, please goddamn stop the shaking and please show us the entire vision. I did not know a lot of characters in the first time. I didn't understand because they were like so close. I could see noses, big mouth, big eyes. And I was like, okay, who is this guy? Because they were so close and they were so roughly edited and cut. But I think that rawness did also kick a punch. That rusty cutting, that rawness that a new director brings in, I think it was a treat to see. Honestly, hearing the story, the underdog who comes in and faced several problems. There was another issue that was really interesting. The initial DOP and the production designer actually backed out few weeks, I think. Yes, they said few weeks before the financier even backed out from the movie. Imagine what is going through this guy's head, and he still comes up, stands like the monkey man, like shown in the movie, fights the world, and tells Hollywood an Indian guy can be a John Wick and can beat people's asses. Well, thank you so much. This is Sahil. Until next time, do go and watch Monkey Man. You'll thank me later.